I think it was Douglas Steer, one of our deep-thinking Quakers, who said that you come to meeting with no intention to speak or no intention not to speak. And you wait until it seems that you must. And the way I have experienced it is that I feel some thought come to me, and I just let it sit there. And then I feel my heart start beating, and I say, no, really, is that right? And then finally I just feel, yeah, I got to say this. And sometimes that's right and sometimes that's wrong. And sometimes after I've spoken, I think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And then sometimes after I think that, at the end of meeting, someone will come and say, oh, I really felt what you said was good. So it's a matter of judgment and what happens.
Typically what I'll do, I'll sit and it becomes more and more seasoned in my mind. Then a strange thing happens. I feel this rocking back and forth motion, almost like, okay, should I really be giving this message? Is this something that the Spirit wants me to come out of me and deliver it? And who's it intended for? And then when I can't stand anymore, then I stand up and I speak what the message that I've received, and then I settle back into the silence. There's times when I feel moved to speak and I don't. And another strange thing happens that someone speaks about what I was thinking about speaking about.
When something comes into your mind or spirit that you think might be an important message, you stop and think, do I generally speak too much? And if you realize that you're in danger of speaking too much, you may decide against uttering it at that time. But if you don't speak very often, or if you feel very strongly about what it is that you have to say, then you go ahead and speak.
Well, I usually feel like the times that I've gotten up to speak, which hasn't been often, but I really notice, I feel like I notice it as kind of an anxiety. Like I'll be sitting with something and I'll just be kind of preoccupied with it somehow, and I feel like I have some like physical experience of anxiety. And then I think, well, maybe I should say something now. I have thoughts to myself that I might be excited about sharing with someone after meeting. But even in those times, I feel like the feeling of it is kind of different. I have a hard time public speaking, so it's like that's part of what it is. But that's how I kind of know that there's something that I really want to say, because I get scared. And then when I do speak, like I'm kind of like scared and maybe like don't have a lot of like presence of mind at the time, but then when I sit down I feel kind of like relieved.
What's important to me is to make sure that I understand my motives first, so I don't get sidetracked into trivial things that have nothing to do with the meeting. And sometimes other people stand up and say the same things before I get to say them, and I'm always pleased and tickled when that happens, But the important thing is to sense what's present for the body of the meeting. And that's what I try to assess and want to differentiate from any purely personal issues.
And speaking out of the silence, I would say that something comes to you that is a thought that really, or a feeling that calls your experience into the larger context. and is something that you want or that you're moved to share with others. It's not always a comfortable place, but it is never something I've regretted. And sometimes you sort of figure it out in speaking. You know, often the voice that comes to you is one you're listening to as well. It's not something necessarily that you know exactly where it's going. But my experience is that it always has meaning.
For me, there was something that I had been thinking about, and it wouldn't go away. It kind of just stayed with me. And then I got this, like a sensation in my body, physically, kind of this slash between nausea and kind of this warm heat kind of in my chest. And it just felt like, yeah, I think there's something here that isn't just for me, but that there might be something bigger. And so I stood up, and I found it helpful to close my eyes. So I just kind of closed my eyes and just said what was on my heart, and then I sat down.
I haven't spoken out of the silence in a meeting for worship. I really enjoy the silence, that experience, and I haven't felt or had a message that I felt would rise to the level of sharing it with everyone else. Something that could improve the quality of the silence.